We have the first hurricane of the 2011 Atlantic hurricane season. I'm Mike Naso from IPR365.com with the latest in a quick video update. The one 6 hours ago definitely needs to be superseded by this one because Irene has spent all night over eastern Puerto Rico, and in the process it hasn't weakened, it hasn't moved west, it has instead continued on a west-northwest course and strengthened into the season's first hurricane. Here is Irene from the unenhanced infrared. Clearly, as it leaves, it is getting better organized. The center is leaving the north coast of Puerto Rico, expected to stair-step west-northwest the next several days just north of Hispaniola. That makes a difference in intensity, as we've been saying, and as the National Hurricane Center has said, if it moved north of the Big Island, then it could be a lot stronger than we were thinking before, and indeed, that appears to be what is going to occur with this system. As of 5 a.m. Eastern Time, it was at 18.4 north, 66.4 west. Winds were 75, gusting to 90. It's moving west-northwest at 11, so it's slowed down, but it has continued to have a northwest component to its track, and that is important. 987 millibars. Later this afternoon, it should be just north of Hispaniola, and overnight, by this time tomorrow, north of Hispaniola, and then begin to start to bend more towards the north, as there will be some weakness in the subtropical ridge to the north of it, the high pressure, that clockwise flow that keeps these hurricanes spinning westward, and it does appear as though this will make a U.S. landfall. Where exactly is very uncertain. There are large errors, especially when we go beyond Thursday. Even beyond Tuesday night, it looks rather suspect as to where the system may go, but the general thinking is up towards Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. Right now, if I were in Florida, I'd be a little bit more on edge, just because of the fact that some of the model guidance is hinting that this system may have a little bit more ridging than originally thought. Nonetheless, if it were to take the right edge of this cone, the Carolinas would be at risk. So anybody from Key West, Florida, all the way on up towards New England needs to keep an eye on Irene. And even after, there's the chance that this could get into Florida and still end up further north down the road. That is not out of the realm of possibility. You can see, of course, we have hurricane warnings up for good reason, too. Hurricane Irene has raked Puerto Rico all night long. We even lost the radar there. You could see the radar as it raked the island. Look at that. Just comes on out, and the northern eye wall looking very well developed. The current radar out of Puerto Rico, the southern eye wall doesn't look all that good. You can see, but obviously it just spent, most of the night over land masses, so for a 75-mile-an-hour storm, the fact that it intensified into that is very, very concerning for areas further to the west, no doubt about that. Irene is a hurricane, the first of the season, and the biggest threat of the season thus far. Now, in the longer term, Irene's intensity will depend on a few things. First of all, it will interact with Hispaniola, so it probably won't intensify much unless it moves far enough away to not really be inhibited. The inflow of the circulation might be inhibited, higher mountains. But once it leaves Hispaniola's reach, if you will, it's a whole different ball game. Turks, Caicos, the Bahamas, towards Florida, the Georgia, South Carolina coast, you have extremely hot waters, and the upper level environment this thing will have will be phenomenal. It is expected to be in a very, very good environment for strengthening, and mind you, it will have most likely a trough towards the say the eastern side of it by a good 1,000 miles that will provide ventilation even more, and the upper level pattern you could already see is very favorable over the top of it. That's why the circulation has strengthened so much tonight and into this morning. However, as it moves up towards the east coast, it should continue to have that, and that will likely mean further intensification, perhaps even into a major hurricane, a significant major hurricane approaching the southeastern United States is not out of the question. You can see the consensus of the models is still to the right of the Hurricane Center, but there is the opportunity, like the GFDL shows and the UK Met, for this to move further west. Although they may be too far west in the short term, they might be right on in the longer term, and that would be very, very bad news, because that would mean, no, it doesn't spend time over the land masses that can weaken it, but yes, it hits South Florida at the utmost intense it can get. then again, it can still be very intense and strengthening by the Carolinas. This is a mixed bag. There are a lot of unknowns about Irene right now. What we do know is Irene is a minimal hurricane that has intensified unexpectedly over Puerto Rico tonight, and has organized somewhat unexpectedly, and we will continue to watch it here at IPR 365 as we will shift gears here as Hurricane Irene has taken the track over Puerto Rico, now going to stair-step north of Hispaniola towards the Bahamas. North coast of the Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos Islands, then the Bahamas. If you live in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina especially, and all up the East Coast, begin to overlook your hurricane plans, because Irene could mean big business by the time the weekend comes around. I'm telling you right now, you don't want to mess around with this one if it does what some of these computer models are showing it's going to do, and what it appears to be trying to do right now. I'm Mike Naso from IPR with a quick update on Irene. I'll see you later on with more on this strengthening hurricane in the Atlantic Basin.